The clinking of silverware against porcelain was the only sound in the dining room until my brother spoke. "By the way," he said, his tone sharp enough to slice through the silence, "the rent's going up. What, 800 starting next month. Don't like it, move out." The words dropped like stones into my chest. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. My mother's hand trembled as she set her wine glass down, and even Dad looked up from his plate, startled. The golden chandelier above us reflected in my brother's smug grin. I had lived in that house, our family home, since the day I was born. And now, after everything I'd done to help him when he lost his job, after paying his bills for months, after covering the mortgage when he needed a break, this was how he repaid me. I tried to keep my voice steady. "You can't be serious, Liam. That's more than double what I pay now." He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "It's the market rate. I'm not running a charity. You want to stay? You pay what everyone else would." I felt the heat rise in my chest. "Everyone else? I'm your sister." He smiled coldly. "Exactly. Family should understand the value of pulling their own weight." Mom intervened weakly. "Liam, honey, that's a bit much." But he cut her off. "No, Mom. I'm done being the nice guy. This is my house now. If she doesn't like it, she can leave." My heart pounded. I looked at my father, expecting him to speak up, to tell Liam this was insane. But Dad just lowered his gaze to his plate, silent. That silence hit harder than the rent itself. Liam's wife, Erica, smiled faintly, swirling her wine like she was watching a show. I saw the satisfaction in her eyes. She wanted this. She'd never liked me living under the same roof, even if it was temporary after I lost my apartment in that flood last year. The tension in the room was suffocating. My mother's lips trembled, tears glistening in her eyes. "Liam," she whispered, "this isn't right." He shrugged. "It's business, Mom, nothing personal." But it was personal. It was deeply personal. I stared at my brother. The same brother who used to hold my hand when we crossed the street, who stayed up late helping me study for exams, who cried when I broke my arm at 12. Somewhere along the way, that boy had turned into a stranger. Dinner continued in silence. Every sound, the scrape of forks, the ticking of the wall clock, the occasional cough, felt like thunder in my ears. When the plates were cleared, Liam stood up and walked out with Erica, whispering something in her ear that made her laugh. I stayed seated, staring at my untouched dessert. My mother reached across the table, touching my hand. He's just stressed, dear. Don't take it to heart." But her eyes told a different story. Guilt, fear, and something else I couldn't name. "Mom," I said quietly. "Did you know?" She flinched. "Know what?" "That he was planning this." Her silence was all the answer I needed. I stood up, trying to keep my voice from shaking. "You could have told me." "It wasn't my decision," she said, eyes wet. "Your father said we should let him handle things." I looked toward Dad. He was still sitting at the table, unmoving, staring into space. When he finally spoke, his voice was cold. "Lim owns the house now. You know that. We signed it over to him last year." My chest tightened. "You what?" He sighed heavily, avoiding my eyes. "It was easier that way. He said he'd take care of everyone." I took a step back, the room spinning around me. "He's taking care of himself," I said bitterly. "And you just handed him the knife to stab me with." I stormed upstairs, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My room, once my safe space, suddenly felt foreign. Every wall, every memory, every photo now belonged to him. I sat on the bed, staring at my phone. My savings were low, my job barely stable. Moving out wasn't an option, not yet. And maybe that's why he was doing this. To push me out slowly, to reclaim every inch of what used to be ours. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. And somewhere deep inside me, something cracked. Not from sadness, but from resolve. If he wanted a war, he'd get one. Because I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't sleep that night. The rain hammered against the windows like it was trying to break in, echoing the pounding in my chest. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Liam's smirk, heard his words again. 800. Don't like it? Move out. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the air in the room grow heavier by the hour. My hands shook, not from fear, but from something deeper, a mixture of betrayal and a rising fire that I hadn't felt in years. Around midnight, I went downstairs to get some water. The house was dark, except for a soft light spilling from the living room. Liam's voice drifted out. He was on a call. No, don't worry. She won't last a week, he said, his tone dripping with arrogance. Yeah, the paperwork's all mine now. The sooner she's out, the sooner we can renovate and list it. You'll get your share, I promise. I froze in the hallway. List it. He was planning to sell the house. Our family home. Behind everyone's back. My stomach turned cold. He kept talking. Mom and Dad won't say anything. They're scared of drama. You know how they are, he chuckled. Once she's gone, it's smooth sailing. I gripped the banister so tight my knuckles whitened. That wasn't just greed. That was betrayal, calculated and cold. I slipped back upstairs before he could notice me. But sleep never came. By morning, I'd made up my mind. At breakfast, the house felt different, quieter, colder. Liam sat across from me, sipping his coffee like nothing had happened. Erica scrolled through her phone, pretending not to notice me. I took a deep breath. So, I said, forcing calm, you're selling the house. Liam's hand froze midair. For a split second, his mask cracked. Then came that smirk again. You were eavesdropping. I live here. I shot back. And yes, I heard you. You're planning to throw your own family out. Mom gasped softly. Liam, what is she talking about? He turned to her with fake calm. Nothing, Mom. Just your daughter making up stories again. But my voice rose before he could bury the truth. You said once I'm gone, you'll sell it, I heard you. You and your business partner. Erica shifted uncomfortably, but stayed quiet. Liam set down his cup slowly, his eyes hardening. You think you can guilt me, but you can't. The house is mine, and I can do whatever I want with it. You don't belong here anymore, and deep down, you know it. The words hit me like a punch, but this time, I didn't flinch. You're right, I said, standing. I don't belong in a house run by liars. I turned toward Mom and Dad. And you too. Did you even ask where I'd go? Or were you too scared to stand up to him? Mom's eyes filled with tears. Dad's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. I grabbed my jacket and stormed out into the rain. The air was cold, sharp, but at least it was honest. I walked aimlessly for what felt like hours. Through puddles, through my thoughts, through every memory of growing up in that house. The laughter we shared, the birthdays, the nights when Liam and I would stay up late watching old movies with Mom. It all felt poison now. I ended up at a small cafe downtown, one of those quiet ones with flickering lights and the smell of old wood. I sat there, soaked and shivering, staring out the window. That's when my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Has going to evict you sooner than you think. Be ready. A friend. My heart skipped. I looked around, half expecting someone to be watching me. But the cafe was nearly empty. Just an old couple in the corner, and a barista wiping the counter. Who sent that? And how did they know? Before I could reply, another message came. Check the study drawer. Bottom right. You'll find something that changes everything. I stared at the screen, my pulse racing. When I got back home that evening, the lights were off. The house was silent. Too silent. I crept upstairs to the study, my heart thundering. The bottom right drawer was locked, but I knew where Dad used to keep the spare key. Behind the bookshelf, taped under a photo of our family, I unlocked it and pulled the drawer open. Inside, beneath a stack of documents, was a thick envelope marked confidential. I opened it, and what I saw made my blood run cold. The deed to the house, my father's signature, my mother's, and Liam's. But there was another page, one I'd never seen before. A second deed, dated months earlier, and this one was in my name. My vision blurred as I read the notarization stamp. It was real. My parents had signed the house to me first. Then somehow, it was transferred again to Liam later. Someone had forged my signature. Footsteps echoed behind me. I turned, my heart in my throat. And there he was, standing in the doorway. Liam. A slow, venomous smile spread across his face. "Found something you shouldn't have, sis," he said softly. Liam's shadow filled the doorway, long and sharp against the wooden floor. The air between us was so thick I could almost hear it humming. I froze, the papers still trembling in my hand. He took a slow step forward, his voice low and almost amused. "You shouldn't go through other people's things. You know. That's not very sisterly." I swallowed hard, my pulse racing. "This?" I lifted the papers, my voice breaking. "This is mine, Liam, the house. Dad and Mom gave it to me first. You forged my name." He tilted his head slightly, eyes narrowing. "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth," I said, my words trembling but sharp. "You stole it. You lied to everyone." For a moment, his smirk vanished, replaced by something colder. He closed the distance between us until I could feel his breath. "Let me explain something," he whispered. "You don't know what's best for this family. I do. You've always been the one dragging everyone down. The emotional one, the failure who never left the nest." His words hit like daggers, but I stood my ground. "You think this is about success. This is about betrayal." He chuckled, leaning closer. "Call it whatever you want. The papers are already filed. Legally, the house is mine. And even if you go to the police, you don't have a shred of proof I forged anything." But he was wrong. There was proof. I saw it, faintly stamped on the page. A notary seal from a firm that had been shut down last year for document fraud. I held the paper tighter. "You made one mistake, Liam." He raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" "You underestimated me." Before he could grab the envelope, I turned and bolted from the room. His footsteps thundered behind me. I sprinted down the stairs, nearly tripping, and rushed out the front door into the cold night. The rain had stopped, but the wind howled, carrying the echo of my heartbeat. I clutched the envelope to my chest and ran down the street, unsure where I was going. Only that I couldn't stay. When I finally stopped, I was standing in front of Mrs. Harper's old bookstore, 2 blocks away. She'd known our family for decades. The lights were still on inside. I knocked frantically. She opened the door, startled. "Goodness, child, what happened?" "Please," I gasped, stepping in. "I just need to sit down for a moment." I handed her the envelope, explaining everything between ragged breaths. The dinner, the threat, the forged deed. She listened quietly, her wrinkled hands folded. When I finished, she nodded slowly. "Your brother always had that cold ambition about him. I'm not surprised. But you can't stay here long. He'll come looking?" "I just need time," I said. "I'll figure out what to do next." She gave me a small key. "There's a back room. You can stay there tonight." I thanked her, collapsing on the small cot in the back of the shop. I held the papers against my chest, staring at the ceiling until exhaustion finally pulled me under. But the next morning, I woke to the sound of banging, heavy, angry banging. "Open up," Liam's voice thundered from the front door. "I know you're in there!" Mrs. Harper tried to calm him. "Liam, please." He shoved the door open anyway, his face twisted with rage. "Where is she?" I stepped out slowly from the back, gripping the envelope. "You really can't help yourself, can you? You think hiding in a bookstore changes anything?" He snapped. "Give me the papers. Now." Mrs. Harper stood between us. "Nuff! You're not taking anything from her." "Not this time." He sneered. "You think anyone will believe her? She's broke, unstable, living off charity. I have lawyers, money, and the deed." But I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Fear, because he knew I had something real. "I'm going to prove what you did," I said quietly. "Even if it destroys you." He stepped closer, voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Then you better move fast, because by tomorrow, you won't have a place to come back to." He turned and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the shelves rattled. I stood there trembling, watching him disappear down the street. Mrs. Harper laid a hand on my shoulder. "You've got to be careful, dear," she said softly. "Men like that, they don't stop until they've taken everything." That night, as I sat at her old wooden desk, I opened my laptop and searched the name on the fraudulent notary seal. It led me to a single result. A small law firm 2 towns over, shut down after an embezzlement scandal. And the name of one of their last clients, Liam Porter. I stared at the screen, my blood turning cold. He'd planned this for months. Every word, every smile, every fake gesture of brotherly care. All of it had been part of his setup. But then, something new appeared on the search page. A leaked database from the firm, containing digital copies of forged documents they'd filed. My hands trembled as I opened it. There it was, a scanned version of the house deed, with my name, my fake signature, and a timestamp proving it was altered. I had him. Just then, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. "He knows you found it. Don't go home tonight. Trust me." I froze, staring at the screen. Outside the window, headlights passed slowly by the shop, once, twice, then stopped. A car engine idled. Then, the sound of a door slamming. Footsteps on wet pavement, and someone trying the back door handle. The metal handle rattled again. Once. Twice. Then stopped. Silence. I held my breath, frozen by the sound. The faint reflection from the shop's neon "Open" sign flickered across the floorboards, stuttering like a failing heartbeat. Mrs. Harper peeked out from the hallway, her eyes wide. "Is someone back there?" she whispered. I nodded. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure whoever was outside could hear it. The next sound was worse. The slow crunch of footsteps circling to the side of the building. Someone was checking the windows. I crept toward the back door, every step deliberate, careful. When I reached it, I saw the faint shadow of a man outlined through the frosted glass. Tall, broad shoulders, motionless now as if he knew I was watching. And then he knocked. 3 slow, heavy knocks. "Open up," a voice said, low, calm, almost polite. But I knew that voice. "Liam?" Mrs. Harper clutched her chest. "That's your brother." I nodded. "He found me." I grabbed the papers and stuffed them inside my jacket. Then I motioned for her to step back. The doorknob twisted again, harder this time. I heard him muttering something under his breath. Then came the sound of splintering wood. He was forcing the lock. Mrs. Harper gasped. "I'm calling the police." But I caught her wrist. "No, that'll take too long. There's a back alley behind the storeroom. We can get out that way." She hesitated only a moment before nodding. Together, we moved as quietly as we could toward the back. But just as we reached the hallway, the door burst open behind us, slamming into the wall. Liam stood there, rain dripping from his coat, his eyes dark with fury. "You just don't know when to stop, do you?" he said, stepping inside. You're making this so much worse for yourself. Worse for me, I snapped, turning to face him. You forged legal documents, Liam? You lied to our parents, to me. Don't play the victim, he hissed. You've been leeching off this family for years. I finally decided to take control. Mrs. Harper stepped between us. That's enough! Get out of my store, Liam! He laughed, a cold, cruel sound that didn't sound like the brother I once knew. Stay out of this, old woman. He moved toward me, and instinct kicked in. I grabbed the first thing I saw, a heavy glass paperweight, and hurled it. It shattered against the wall inches from his head. That made him stop. For a moment, his composure cracked. Give me the documents, he growled. Right now, before he could finish, red and blue lights flashed through the front window. Mrs. Harper's voice trembled. I called them anyway. Liam froze, his jaw tightening. Then he turned that venomous glare back on me. This isn't over, he said through clenched teeth. You think you've won. You have no idea what's coming. He stormed out just as 2 officers came running up the sidewalk. I felt my knees give way, and Mrs. Harper caught me as I sank to the floor. When the officers questioned me, I showed them the forged deed and explained everything. One of them, Officer Danner, took notes while the other collected the papers. We'll have this verified, he said. If what you're saying checks out, your brother could be facing serious charges. You might want to stay somewhere safe for a while. Safe? The word felt meaningless now. After the police left, Mrs. Harper made me tea and tried to smile, but her eyes were full of worry. You need someone on your side, dear? A lawyer who can actually fight this. She was right. I couldn't just react anymore. I had to fight back, strategically. That night, as I sat in the dim glow of the shop's back room, I started making calls. Every legal office in town was either closed or unwilling to take on a forged property case without a hefty retainer. By dawn, I was down to my last option. A name that popped up in one of the articles about the notary fraud case, Daniel Kline, an independent investigator who'd helped expose the scandal. When I called his number,